My cheating fiancée claimed her affair was just a test of my love. I called off the wedding and kicked her out of my house immediately. I, 34M, just a normal guy working a decent office job, thought I'd found the woman I'd spend my life with. We'd been together 2 years, and I proposed last Christmas under the impression that we shared the same values: loyalty, respect, honesty. For a while, everything seemed on track. We booked a wedding venue, started looking at starter homes. She moved into my place to save on rent. Life felt stable. That changed 3 weeks ago. On a quiet Saturday evening, I noticed something off about her behavior. She'd been secretive, smiling at her phone, leaving the house late with vague excuses. I confronted her gently, and instead of reassuring me, she turned defensive. The next day, I got my answer in the ugliest way possible. I found explicit texts on her phone. She'd been meeting some guy from her gym, sneaking around behind my back for weeks. When I confronted her with the evidence, expecting tears or apologies, she shocked me. She dismissed my anger, smirking. "It was just a test of your love. I needed to know if you'd fight for me." I blinked, stunned. She painted her affair as some twisted loyalty quiz. She accused me of failing because I got mad instead of instantly forgiving her. The entitlement oozing from her words was staggering. I told her the wedding was off. I demanded she pack her things and leave. She screamed at me, calling me ungrateful and petty. "I sacrificed so much," she yelled, as if her betrayal were something noble. When I didn't back down, she tried a new tactic: tears. But I'd seen the truth of her character. No matter how she spun it, she cheated. I told her calmly, "You have 1 hour to get out, or I'm calling the police to escort you." She cursed, scrambled to stuff clothes into a bag, and stomped out. I locked the door behind her. The next day, my phone buzzed nonstop. She spammed me with texts alternating between apologies and insults. "We're meant to be," followed by, "You'll never do better," then, "Don't make me do something drastic." I ignored her. I was done. But apparently, she wasn't. Over the following week, she showed up at my workplace, waiting in the parking lot, insisting I talk. I refused. She tried rallying mutual acquaintances to pressure me into forgiving her. I stood firm. I was no doormat. Her entitlement escalated. She claimed I owed it to her to reconcile, that I couldn't just throw away the wedding plans. As if marriage was a transaction I'd failed to complete. Days later, I returned home from work to find her sitting on my porch. She glared at me, arms folded. "We have to talk," she said. "You can't just cut me off like that. We have a future. You need to understand I was testing your loyalty. Now you've proven you're weak." My jaw clenched. "Leave, or I'll have you trespassed." She scoffed. "This is my home, too." Obviously false. I owned the house. It was in my name alone. But she acted like she deserved half of everything, despite no marriage and her cheating scheme. I called a friend who was a lawyer just to understand my legal position. He confirmed that as my fiancée, well, ex-fiancée, she had no claim to my property. There was no common law marriage or joint ownership. Still, he advised me to document everything: her attempts to force contact, the harassment at work, the porch incident. If she escalated, I might seek a restraining order. Sure enough, she escalated. She began texting me long rants about how I was the bad guy for failing her test, and then overreacting. One message read, "You know I deserve another chance. I invested time in us. If you don't let me move back in, I'll tell everyone you abused me." My stomach dropped. She was threatening defamation now. She wanted to twist the narrative, painting herself as a victim if I didn't comply. I refused to respond. Instead, I saved the text and talked to my lawyer friend again. He said it could be considered blackmail. "If she follows through, you can sue for defamation," he said. "Also, consider a protective order." I nodded, considering my options. I wasn't going to let her terrorize me emotionally. A few days later, I came home to find my front door handle scratched like someone tried to pick the lock. Nothing stolen, but it was suspicious. I installed a security camera immediately. 2 nights after that, I caught her on the camera footage sneaking onto my porch trying to peek into windows. I called the cops. They made a report, advised me to get a restraining order. She got a warning call from the police: stay away or face trespassing charges. Her reaction? She doubled down, texting, "How dare you involve cops? You'll regret this." That's when I decided enough was enough. I took the camera footage, the texts, and the police report to my lawyer friend. With his help, I filed for a restraining order. The judge granted it on a temporary basis, preventing her from coming near my home or workplace. Once she was served, I expected things to calm down. Instead, she tried a different angle. She contacted my boss at the office, alleging I was unfit and had issues that might affect my job performance. My boss, knowing me for years, called me in quietly, explained what happened, and showed me the email she sent anonymously. We both knew who it was. Fortunately, my boss trusted me. I provided a brief explanation: an ex-fiancée harassing me. He shook his head and advised me to be careful. At this point, it was clear she was desperate, flailing for power she no longer had. She started telling mutual friends lies: that I abandoned her after she got pregnant, a total fabrication; that I stole money from her, also false. A few friends asked me directly. I showed them her deranged messages, and they apologized for doubting me. Her entitlement grew uglier. She tried to guilt-trip me over wedding deposits, money I'd already lost. She demanded compensation for her time and emotional energy. I laughed grimly at the absurdity. She cheated, lied, and threatened me, yet expected a payout. With the restraining order in place, I hoped she'd back off, but she didn't. She started showing up near my gym, lurking in the parking lot. One evening, as I walked to my car, she confronted me, leaning against a lamppost, arms crossed. "You think a piece of paper scares me?" she sneered. "This isn't over." I pulled out my phone, started recording. She noticed and tried to knock it out of my hand. "You're pathetic," she hissed. "Just take me back. I'll drop all these accusations." Accusations she hadn't officially made yet, but the threat loomed. I calmly said, "You're violating the restraining order right now." She backed away, cursing me under her breath, then fled before cops arrived. I saved the video as more evidence. My lawyer friend suggested we file a contempt motion since she violated the order. He also hinted that if she tried false allegations in court, we could countersue. I agreed. We initiated legal proceedings to reinforce the protective order, possibly upgrading it to a permanent one. The wheels of justice turned slowly, but steadily. A few days later, I got a call from an unknown number. Her mother's voice came through. "You're tearing my daughter's life apart," she said. "She made a small mistake, and you blew it up. You owe her another chance." I almost laughed aloud. A small mistake? Cheating and months of harassment weren't minor slip-ups. I refused to argue. Just said, "Your daughter needs professional help and to leave me alone." She got angry, threatening to hire a lawyer to sue me for emotional distress. I knew it was baseless. Let them try. Shortly after, I noticed strange charges on my credit card. Someone used my card number to buy expensive electronics online. I called the bank, canceled the card, and asked for an investigation. The bank's fraud department found the delivery address matched one of her relatives' places. That was it. I handed this information to the police. Identity theft is a serious crime. The officer handling my case said they would interview her. If it led back to her, she'd face criminal charges. Meanwhile, the contempt hearing for the restraining order violation arrived. My ex-fiancée tried to appear innocent, saying she just happened to be at the gym's parking lot, claiming coincidence. I played the video of her taunts. The judge was unimpressed with her excuses. He extended the restraining order, making it more strict: no contact at all, not even through third parties. She glared daggers at me in the courtroom, but said nothing. A week later, the police came through. The fraudulent credit card use tied directly to her. She was charged with misdemeanor fraud. She panicked, sending me frantic emails through a new account, begging for mercy, promising she'd drop everything if I didn't testify. I forwarded the emails to my lawyer and the police. She was digging herself deeper, with each stunt. Now cornered, she tried a last, desperate card, showing up at my workplace despite the order. She tried to force her way into the building's lobby, screaming that I ruined her life, that I owed her a home and security. Security guards detained her until cops arrived. This time, she crossed too many lines. With multiple violations and new criminal charges stacking up, her leverage evaporated. She'd gone from a cheating ex-fiancé testing my love to a criminal harassing her former partner. The DA took an interest in her case after the trespassing and fraud. They offered her a plea deal if she admitted guilt and agreed to stay away permanently. Her lawyer, probably exasperated by her antics, advised her to take it. At the final hearing, I attended with my lawyer. She stood before the judge, looking haggard and desperate. Gone was the smug grin, the entitlement. Now her eyes darted nervously. The DA laid out the evidence, the recorded threats, the trespassing, the fraud, the harassment. The judge looked at her and said, "Your behavior is unacceptable and dangerous. You're fortunate no one was physically harmed beyond the initial mental distress. Do you understand the seriousness of this?" She nodded meekly. The judge sentenced her to probation, mandatory counseling, restitution for the fraudulent charges, and permanent no-contact orders. She was warned that any future violation could mean jail time. Her face fell, realizing she'd lost everything. My trust, any hope of reconciliation, and even her freedom to move about without legal scrutiny. As I left the courthouse, I felt a mix of relief and disgust. Her entitlement had taken her to the brink of criminal consequences. All because she couldn't admit fault, couldn't accept that her test was nothing but vile manipulation. She tried every dirty trick, blackmail, lies, defamation, only to be caught and punished. In the aftermath, I changed my locks, updated my security system, and focused on rebuilding my life. Some mutual friends apologized for believing her early lies. Others quietly vanished, not wanting to take sides. I was fine with that. I'd learned a harsh lesson about who I could trust and how easily love can be twisted into something ugly by the wrong person. Legally, I was in the clear. She couldn't come near me, couldn't contact me, couldn't harass me without risking jail. Financially, I took a hit from canceled wedding arrangements, but I considered it a small price for my freedom and peace of mind. Emotionally, I was scarred, but wiser. In time, I'd move forward, meet new people, and hopefully find someone truly worthy of my love. Seeing her face crumble under the judge's stern lecture was the final piece of closure I needed. She understood too late that she'd tested not just my love, but my patience, my dignity, and my will to stand up for myself. She failed spectacularly and faced real consequences for her entitled behavior. If hearing about entitled people facing their well-earned downfall makes your day, hit that subscribe button. Who knows what toxic nonsense I'll expose next?